Take out a sheet of paper and divide it into two columns. On one side, please write the word and part of speech. On the other side, please write the definition and any helpful examples. Please pause the video any time if you feel that I am going too fast. The first word is heretic. Heretic is a noun referring to a person believing in or practicing religious heresy. Heresy being either a belief or opinion contrary to normal religious doctrine or anything that's just generally accepted. For example, he was accused of being a heretic for questioning some of the group's archaic rituals. Next is conviction. Conviction is a noun referring to a firmly held belief or opinion. For instance, the prosecutor held to his conviction that the death was no accident and refused to believe that the brother was innocent. Tentative. Tentative is an adjective describing something that is not certain or fixed in any way, whether that's time or place. Tentative can also refer to something that is provisional, not quite permanent. For instance, the trials ended in a tentative conclusion. The researchers are planning to run more tests before determining a final course of action. Hasten. Hasten is a verb describing the action of being quick to do something, acting quickly. For example, he hastened to refute the assertion that he was a terrible boss, as he did not want his superiors to get wind of the rumor. Hierarchy. Hierarchy is a noun referring to a system or an organization in which people or groups of people are ranked one above the other, usually according to status or the authority that those groups or people have. For example, the young, industrious attorney worked hard to climb her ways up the ladder of the law firm's hierarchy. Constraint. Constraint is a noun referring to a limitation or some kind of restriction, whether that is one that is physical or concrete, or maybe something that's more abstract. For example, time constraints make it impossible to do everything at Disneyland. Equivocal. Equivocal is an adjective describing that which is open to more than one interpretation. That which is equivocal can sometimes also be ambiguous, vague. For example, due to the equivocal nature of his date's remarks, the young man did not know whether or not he should follow through with the promposal. Vindictive. Vindictive is an adjective describing that which has or shows a strong or unreasoning desire for revenge. For example, the movie director felt the criticism was both vindictive and personalized as it was levied by his former business partner. Digression. Digression is a noun referring to a departure, a temporary departure, from the main subject in either speech or writing. For example, let's return to the main topic after that brief digression about what we should eat for lunch. Enigmatic. Enigmatic is an adjective describing that which is difficult to interpret or difficult to understand. Sometimes enigmatic can refer to something that's mysterious. Enigmatic, of course, comes from that root of enigma. something that's questionable. For example, he took the money with an enigmatic smile, making all around him wonder what he was planning to do with it. Provocative. Provocative is an adjective describing that or someone that causes annoyance, anger, or another strong reaction. And that which is provocative is usually or especially done deliberately. When you think of provocative, think to provoke someone to some type of emotion. For instance, John Krakauer's feature about Chris McCandless's decision to go into the Alaskan wild proved to be the magazine's most provocative article. Sanctity. Sanctity is a noun referring to the state or quality of being holy, sacred, or saintly. The words saint and sanctity are very similar in that they refer to something holy. For example, the site of the tomb was a place of sanctity for the ancient Egyptians. Concerting. Concerting is a verb that describes the action of arranging something by mutual agreement or some type of coordination. For instance, as they wanted to win the competition, the team started meeting regularly to concert their tactics. They were concerting their plan. Malicious. Malicious is an adjective describing that which is characterized by malice, something intending or intended to do harm. Breaking the word down, the beginning prefix mal is defined as bad. For instance, the family was stunned at malicious destruction of their property. They couldn't imagine anyone doing something so mean. Undertaking. An undertaking is a noun referring to a formal pledge or a formal promise to do something, to undertake an action. For example, the restoration of the old theater is a huge undertaking. Expedient. Expedient is an adjective describing something, when talking about an action specifically, describing something convenient and practical. Expedient can also refer to something that is possibly improper or immoral. Not always, but sometimes. For example, either side could break the agreement if it were expedient to do so. Hitherto. Hitherto is not a word you usually use in normal conversation, but hitherto is an adverb describing something that is until now or until the point in time that is under discussion. Listen to it in a sentence this way. For example, there is a need to replace what has hitherto been a haphazard method of payment. So up until that time had been a haphazard method of payment. Elysian. Elysian is an adjective that is describing that which is of, relating to, or characteristic of heaven or paradise. Elysian is in reference to Elysium or Elysian fields, which is the classical Greek concept of the afterlife or heaven. For example, I dream of retiring to a tropical isle and enjoying a life of Elysian ease. Contrive. Contrive is a verb describing the action of creating or bringing about either an object or a situation by deliberate use of skill and artifice. For example, if the surprise were to work, She would have to contrive a reason to get her husband out of the house for a few hours. She'd have to create that reason. And finally, grossness. Grossness is a noun, and the way we use grossness now is definitely not the way it was used a good while ago. Grossness, using this definition, is now obsolete, but grossness referred to the main body, the bulk, or the mass of something, whether that's an individual or a group. For example, the grossness of the crowd ran onto the field to celebrate the team's victory. Think of something huge. It's gross in nature.